from the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led the observance of the 83rd Day of Valor or Araw ng Kagitingan at the Mount Samat National Shrine in Pilar, Bataan, Wednesday. In his speech, the President asked Filipinos to learn from the past and use it to build a better future. President Marcos emphasized the gallantry shown during the 1942 Battle of Bataan, honoring the Filipino and American men that battled that eventually surrendered to the Japanese Imperial Army after months of resistance under harsh conditions. He also paid respect to warriors from other countries who joined the struggle for freedom. The President emphasized the significance of peace over war as he reflected on the lessons acquired from wartime struggles. Marcos highlighted the crucial role of collaboration among all parties concerned in achieving peace, stating that no single nation can do so alone. Marcos regretted that some parts of the world have yet to learn that lesson. The yearly event, which is the focus of the remembrance, aims to remember the efforts of Filipino and American veterans who fought Japanese invaders in the Philippines during World War II that lasted 4 years. Marcos stated that the concept of valor extends beyond the battlefield, acknowledging the ordinary fortitude displayed by Filipinos in times of adversity. He underlined the country's commitment to a peaceful and prosperous future founded on history's stern lessons.
We celebrate today the heroism of all those who fought here in Bataan. And we celebrate the peace that was hard-earned by the blood and the sacrifice of all our servicemen, not just Filipinos, not just Americans, but also those who fought bravely for their own countries. We celebrate the lessons that have been learned through this very terrible hardship and very terrible experience. The lessons that we learn are that the solution to war is not more war, and that the solution to war is only peace. An honorable peace that is arrived at by the different parties involved in having a hand and a voice in achieving that peace. Peace cannot be attained by one person, by one country alone. And that we have to bring together all the parties that are involved. These are the lessons that we hope to have learned. We are a little bit disappointed to see that the world, parts of the world, and many countries in the world have yet to learn that lesson. And we hope that that peace will be brought to us soon. We celebrate once again the future. We celebrate the future that we will put together, keeping in mind the lessons that we have learned over the many years. These are the things that we celebrate today. These are the lessons that were hard-earned, and these are the lessons that we now apply to our lives. And this in hand, this will bring us to a brighter future.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has urged pertinent government agencies to speed up the distribution of benefits and assistance under the Comprehensive Social Benefits Program or CSBP to families of soldiers and police officers killed or injured in the line of duty. Marcos made a statement during the commemoration of the 83rd Araw ng Kagitingan or Day of Valor at the Tejeros Hall, Camp Aguinaldo, Wednesday. The event was attended by the families of the fallen members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police. The CSBP, which was established in 2020, provides aid to the dependents of uniformed troops killed or wounded during authorized operations beginning in July 2016. This includes lodging, health and medical care, education, employment, and other social welfare services. Marcos recognized the benefits release delays, citing documentary requirements and procedural problems. He addressed the need for a speedier and more efficient approach. The president directed the appropriate agencies to ease the process so that qualified families could receive their payments as soon as possible.
Kaya kayo, mga beneficiaries ng ating mga programa para sa mga pamilya ng mga nasawi sa habang sila ay nagsiservisyo sa bansa, ay ngayong araw na ito, masasabi ko, maibibigay na namin lahat ng inaantay ninyo na napakatagal. Hindi dapat naging ganito katagal. At dahil nga nakita ko kung gaano kahirap, hindi pala madali. Ang dami pang kinakailangan kahit na wala na ang inyong mga asawa, ang inyong ama, ang inyong mga kapatid. Kahit wala na, ay marami pang kailangan gawin upang matanggap ang benepisyo na galing sa pamahalaan. Ngayon, dahil sa nakita ko, ika ko sa kanila, ayusin na ninyo yan para madali ang proseso. Kaya sisiplihan po natin para po lahat ng mga dapat tumanggap ng tulong sa ating pamahalaan ay mabibigyan kaagad kapag sila ay namatayan, sila ay naabutan ng malas at napunta sa ganyan ang serbisyo ng kanilang mahal sa buhay.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
As the country observed the 83rd anniversary of Araw ng Kagitingan or Day of Valor, Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity or OPAPRU Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. hopes that commemoration of this historic event will further strengthen Filipinos' resolve to defend the country against aggression. He also hopes this will inspire unity among Filipinos. Galvez said the best way to honor the country's fallen heroes is by working together to sustain the gains of peace which they have fought so hard to achieve. The OPAPRU chief also said that Araw ng Kagitingan not only honors the gallantry of the soldiers who perished during that fateful period in history, but it is also a reminder of sacrifices made in defending the country and securing a just and lasting peace. Galvez added that Filipinos do not need to be in the front lines of battle to become heroes. He underscored that each and every Filipino with their unique set of skills and talents can become one by becoming beacons of peace, mutual understanding, and solidarity among our people.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Department of Budget and Management or DBM Secretary Amena Pangandaman joined Filipinos in paying tribute to the courage and sacrifices of Filipino veterans, emphasizing their role as the cornerstone of the Philippines' growth and development. In her statement for the 83rd Araw ng Kagitingan or Day of Valor commemoration, Pangandaman said the heroism of the nation's veterans is not just a chapter in our history, but the foundation of our nation's growth and development. The budget chief also extended the honor to other modern-day heroes, including overseas Filipino workers, health professionals, uniformed personnel, teachers, and public servants, recognizing their contributions to nation building. In line with the commemoration, Pangandaman reaffirmed the DBM's commitment to carry forward the heroes' legacy by ensuring transparency, fiscal responsibility, and people-centered governance. The Day of Valor remembers the heroism and sacrifice of Filipinos during World War II and recalls the 1942 fall of Bataan when Filipino and American forces surrendered to the Japanese Imperial Army after resisting for months with limited weapons, ammunition, and supplies.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. urged Filipinos to actively support and patronize local food items, stressing the significance of promoting domestic enterprises to fuel the country's economic progress. Marcos, during the Bagong Pilipinas National Food Fair, encouraged Filipinos to celebrate the richness of their country's culinary legacy as he acknowledged the Filipino Food Month in April. The chief executive also acknowledged the growing global appreciation for Filipino cuisine and encouraged the public to take pride in their own culinary history. The president also urged sustained support for the country's micro, small, and medium-sized businesses, or MSMEs, which play an important role in the local economy. The 5-day exhibition, organized by the Department of Trade and Industry's Bureau of Market Development, Promotions, and OTOP DTI BMDPO, showcases approximately 250 excellent food-based micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, or MSMEs, from across the country. The expo, which promotes sustainability and technology improvements in food production, packaging, and manufacturing, also aims to accelerate MSMEs' digital transformation. Participants in the project received tools for e-commerce, digital marketing, logistics, and cashless payment solutions. The chief executive appreciated the wide regional diversity of the products on display at the show and thanked the private sector for its ongoing support of government programs, which he said play an important role in empowering local MSMEs and boosting the economy. The event is set to last all weekend, providing an opportunity for Filipinos to discover and support the abundance of local items while also helping to the growth of domestic enterprises around the country.
This April, we are celebrating the Filipino Food Month, an important occasion where we honor valued traditions passed down through generations, reflecting our identity as Filipinos through the food that we prepare and enjoy. Marami na rin ang mga dayuhan na humahanga sa kakaibang sarap ng ating mga pagkain. Kaya sana tayo namang mga Pilipino mismo ay manguna sa pagkikilala sa iba't ibang putahe na gawa ng lutong Pinoy. This National Food Fair is more than a gastronomic celebration of our rich and diverse culinary heritage. It is a testament to the incredible talent, ingenuity, industry of our local farmers and artisans who bring pride and honor to our country. Let us continue to champion our homegrown products, elevate them to new heights, and embrace the brilliance of Filipino craftsmanship and ingenuity. Patuloy natin tangkilikin ang sariling atin. Palakasin pa natin ang industriyang Pilipino. And may the continued success of our MSMEs inspire generations of entrepreneurs and innovators, all working towards a more prosperous and productive Philippines.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Philippine Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, is set to launch an infrastructure audit tool to assess the structural integrity of buildings in preparation for a massive earthquake called the Big One in the metropolis and nearby areas. DILG Undersecretary for Local Government Marlo Iringan in a news release said the harmonized infrastructure audit tool would be used to ensure the resilience of buildings in the country against earthquakes. He said the tool, which would help local government units, or LGUs, identify the priority structures for infrastructure audits, will be pilot tested in the National Capital Region, Central Luzon, and Calabarzon. He said that the ILG also partnered with the academe to tap 4th and 5th year engineering students to help assess the infrastructures. Iringan represented Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla during the second Earthquake Preparedness Summit organized by the Office of Civil Defense in Quezon City. During the event, the DILG also discussed its programs to enhance LGU earthquake preparedness and resilience, such as Operations Listo and a basic disaster risk reduction and climate change adoption for barangays. The DILG Secretary sits as a Vice Chairperson for Disaster Preparedness of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, about 3,200 structures are along the West Valley Fault, while 12% to 13% of residential buildings are forecast to sustain heavy damage when the big one strikes.
Dateline Malacañang.
Any individual is now or no longer allowed to enter the permanent danger zone surrounding Canlaon volcano in Negros Islands. This was ordered by the Protected Area Management Office of Mount Canlaon Natural Park of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR, following the new eruption of the volcano. Particularly, families living inside a 4 to 6 kilometers permanent danger zone are no longer allowed to enter. According to Philip Lechoncito, Park Operations Superintendent of Mount Canlaon Natural Park, they implemented this to mitigate the danger from volcanic hazards such as pyroclastic density currents, or PDCs, ballistic projectiles, rockfalls, among others. Residents living besides the river were advised to be alert for possible lahar flows, especially when it rains. In relation to this, Lechoncito encouraged local government units, or LGUs, and the community within their jurisdictions to implement security precautions. The Park's Protected Area Management Office is currently monitoring developments on the volcano's activities.
Dateline Malacañang.
In related news, the Philippine Department of Tourism, or DOT, said tourism activities in areas near Mount Canlaon in Negros Occidental are suspended to ensure the safety of both residents and tourists. In an advisory, the DOT said it is now closely coordinating with the involved local government units, or LGUs, to prioritize the safety and well-being of individuals affected by the April 8 explosive eruption of Mount Canlaon through monitoring and immediate response. Other areas experiencing ashfall include portions of Guimaras, Iloilo, and Antique. The tourism agency also urged the public to maintain vigilance and adhere to official advisories amid the volcanic unrest. The DOT meanwhile reported that all tourist accommodations and infrastructures in the affected areas are still structurally sound. To date, no stranded tourists have been logged as Mount Canlaon remains at alert level 3.
Dateline Malacañang.
A dedicated Overseas Filipino Workers, or OFWs, wing has been opened at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA Terminal 3, to ensure faster and more efficient immigration processing for departing migrant workers, the Bureau of Immigration, or BI, announced Wednesday. Commissioner Joel Anthony Viado said the expansion of the immigration area includes 6 additional counter spaces manned by 12 immigration officers, which will help decongest processing lines, especially during peak travel seasons. Viado said the change has resulted in shorter queues of departing passengers, including Filipino and foreign tourists, who are processed in the airport's regular immigration counters. The move is in time for long holidays this month, traditionally one of the busiest travel periods of the year. With increased counters and a dedicated processing area for OFWs, the BI expects to provide faster service and reduced waiting times for outbound Filipino workers. Viado thanked the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, and New NAIA Infrastructure Corporation, or NNIC, for their support in facilitating the successful implementation of the project. The BI records an average of more than 3,400 OFWs departing from NAIA daily. Hence, the need for special lanes that will exclusively conduct immigration formalities for these travelers. The new expansion aligns with the President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s goal of improving services for OFWs, recognizing their significant contributions to the country's economy.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Asian Development Bank, or ADB, has maintained its economic outlook of the Philippines' gross domestic product, or GDP, to 6% this year and 6.1% in the year 2026. In an Asian Development Outlook, or ADO, April 2025 report, the Philippines remains to be one of the fastest growing economies in Southeast Asia. This is due to the strong domestic demand, sustained investments in social services and public infrastructure, and lower inflation. According to ADB Country Director for the Philippines, Pavit Ramachandran, the Philippines remains to be a bright spot in the Southeast Asian region, brought about by robust private consumption and sustained investments, particularly infrastructure. Ramachandran said economic expansion is seen through good labor force, high household incomes, remittances from Filipinos abroad, and election spending because of the upcoming elections in May. The ADB's growth outlook was released before the United States announced to impose higher tariff rates to a number of countries, including the Philippines.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila. Dateline Malacañang.